Okay. That depends. There's lots to demonstrate as always, right? So let me close this guy first. So here's our website. If you want to try the demo along, you can just click on Try Demo. And then here is the link to the wallet. It's a bit hidden still. And we have different wallets for different platforms. So Chrome, Mozilla, Opera, Android, other browsers, iOS, Ubuntu Touch is a bit painful to install. So depending on your platform, we have wallets for you and not just for big tech. Here I have my Firefox. I already have a wallet. And the first thing you can see is I have Swiss francs from the university, Swiss francs on a production system. I don't have any euros right now for my test system. I have Kudos, which is our demonstration currency. We called it Kudos. It's not a crypto coin, but you're welcome to buy it. We'll see. So just to say, I already have some money in there. Again, you can just download the respective wallet for your platform. You also find it in the app stores. If you prefer it from there, it's all possible. Now, the first thing is we're going to do is we're going to go to our demo page. And there we have our bank. And the idea is that this is like a normal home bank that you would usually go to for your online banking.
Sorry, where's the demo link?
Demo.thaler.net. So we first have to create an account. So I'm going to do whatever. Foofy, was it correct here? Anyway, password. I'm going to use a strong one. So I'm going to create myself a bank account. Yay. Again, it's a demo, right? So what we did here is we basically said, okay, the central bank is going to create anybody who creates a bank account 100 kudos starting bonus. It's a great sign-up bonus. That's why kudos are extremely valuable commodity. You have to find a new username and you get 100 of them. And I think we configured it to like you can go up to 500 into debt. So you have good source of money. And then here we have the Thaler integration with the Thaler wallet. So I can just click on here and say, how much money do I want to withdraw into my Thaler wallet? So say, yes, I want to have 50 kudos. Click on continue. Oops, yep. And now what you see is it jumped immediately into my web extension because I have the Thaler wallet installed. It jumps here and I can basically just say, okay, 50 kudos. I want to withdraw those. Now, here the bank would have a chance of doing, say, two-factor authentication, send me an SMS, PIN code, whatever, check my blood pressure, biometrics. I just have to confirm the transfer. And so now the wired money has been transferred. You can see it here. It was sent to the exchange operator, which is separate from the administrator. And in my wallet, I now have 50 kudos more. That's the integrated withdrawal process. The easy one. Now, I want to do a second variation immediately here, bank.demo.thaler.net. So let me log in again with a different browser where I do not have the web extension wallet installed. Foofy test, log in. So now, in this case, if I want to withdraw, I can say, okay, I want to withdraw 25 kudos. What will happen now is it will just show me a QR code. And Catherine, would you please scan the QR code with your mobile phone? She needs to have some money for the test or demonstration.
Goes too fast, I'm not there.
So what she has to do is she starts the wallet, then there is an action button, and she clicks on Scan QR Code. Have you found it? Problem scanning the QR code or? Okay, so she scanned the QR code.
Pending status.
Yeah, it's pending because I didn't click on confirm here. And again, the idea is if somebody stole the money and he was fast at scanning the QR code, as has happened in presentations, I can just say, no, I'm not going to confirm the transfer because it's going to the wrong person. It's not in my phone, but she confirms it's on her phone, so I'm going to actually do the transfer. So now the transfer has happened, and now it should be on your phone if you have decent internet. Okay, good.
Possibility to withdraw.
So
I have received.
So now let's go shopping. and we'll stay with her for a moment. So here's a journalist, I always say starving journalist, who's publishing his book articles. And I want to read his article on floss and foss, whatever that is. And paywall. Now, please scan the QR code.
Anybody? Anybody?
Well, anybody who has kudos. Otherwise, you get insufficient balance, which is a bit boring. And then she should confirm the payment. Oh, notice I was hands-free here, right? It's a nice user experience. Let's do it better. So here's the integrated wallet. So I go again to the essay shop. And I'm going to try to read this article. It starts my built-in wallet. I click on pay, and I have the article. Who's done a faster checkout in their life?
Yeah, I think with Alipay would be more or less.
Well, you have to log in first. This is without any login.
With my app? No, it's just open. Scan.
Well, you had to log into the app the first time and so on. You had to give Alipay your banking details, your credit card, whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember, this will be your first time experience with any shop. No account, no custom app, just the wallet.
It's a browser add-on that.
This is a browser extension, yes.
So
No.
the seller does not know who the buyer is?
Exactly.
But I have
I mean, they don't learn it from the payment protocol, I should say.
Right.
Of course, if you first show your ID, they recognize your face, they log your IP address, and you didn't use a VPN, they might be able to learn something from outside of the payment protocol, from the context. Like if I ship something to your home address, of course I'll know who you are because I need your shipping address, unless you use a mailbox again. But the payment system itself doesn't disclose this information, neither to the seller nor to the bank.
Okay, so where do I see my article? Because I have here like open merchant website, and then when I click on it, I get another QR code.
Yes, and if you click on the same article that you clicked, okay, we can show this too. So if you buy an article a second time, so which one was the first one you bought here? Was
I have no idea.
this one. So now I'm in a different browser. So if I can also click here, pay with mobile phone. So if you scan this QR code, because you already paid for it, your wallet will prove to the merchant that it already bought this article. It will not ask you to pay again. It'll just prove that you are one who already bought the article, and then we will see the article. So in this case, you don't have to pay a second time. We call this repurchase detection for digital goods.
It's interesting, on my phone it says no usable data found when I try to scan the...
Oh, but you don't have the Thaler wallet app.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, it's a URI scheme which your computer doesn't understand.
Yeah.
You didn't scan this.
It didn't work. It looks too small.
It's too small. Okay, yeah.
Maybe I didn't.
Not sure how I can make it bigger for you here.
the browser. Wait.
Okay. Yeah. I tried to make it bigger. It makes everything else bigger except for the QR code.
Did it go now or no?
Huh?
Did something happen?
What did you do?
I tried to scan it again.
Okay, and nothing happened? That's strange. Okay. No? Okay. Well,
Okay, but if I want to use it, then I have to have this wallet on my mobile, for instance, and then I have to as an initialization, I will have to send some money from my
yeah, it's a
account.
prepaid system, yes. Yeah. Now, you can, of course, send money from another wallet to here. So if I, for example, go and go here on Kudos, I see my transaction history, from wallet transactions. I can click on send, and I can say to another wallet. I can specify whatever, 5 Kudos. I always use bribe. It's more fun that way. The expiration is basically if the recipient doesn't accept the payment, then after that amount of time, the money reverts back to me. So it's never lost because it was in transit. So if I now click on create, then again, you get a QR code, which you can scan to receive the 5 Kudos. No. the same thing goes for invoicing. So I can also go and say, okay, instead of sending, I want to receive. Again, from another wallet. I can say here, I want to receive 5 kudos. And now basically I can send, okay, skip the turn. Oh, I'm on the wrong exchange, sorry. To pick first kudos again, and then on receive.
The PayPal wallet does that as well. The PayPal wallet can also ask for money from somebody else.
Yeah.
But PayPal's not free.
Well, this one it's not free software, and it again doesn't have the privacy part.
Can the source of the funding be a credit card rather than a bank account?
That's a business and a legal question a little bit. Business-wise, it's not so wise because then you pay the credit card fees, so you're not going to be cheaper than the credit card if you immediately start with a credit card transfer. Right, so if you want to say we're going to be cheaper, if you start with a SEPA transfer that's basically always 5 cents or even free for the customer, that's great. If you start by saying, okay, you have to pay the credit card fee, how are you going to be cheaper than a card payment for anybody? And the second question is one of regulation. In our case, we basically told the regulator we're going to withdraw from Swiss bank account, deposit into Swiss bank account, and they said, okay, then it's okay. The moment you add additional flows, you have to get regulatory approval. I don't think there would be a specific problem with cards. I just think it's a business problem because the additional cost from that.
Jen, I'm just curious because I can't remember the last time I bought anything with cash. And this is the equivalent to buying with cash. So I use a credit card because I have a credit card that is no annual fee. And every dollar I spend, I get 2% back. Plus I get the float between when the transaction is made and when I have to pay the bill. So I'm getting 2% to start with. And then I'm collecting interest on the money that ultimately will go to pay the bill, which is not going to be due for basically 6-7 weeks.
Right, so here you've got one of these market failures where you say you get 2% to start with, and I get to say everybody else has to pay 4% more to subsidize your 2% and the actual fees of the payment system.
Right, that's exactly, well.
So it's a very big it's a bit of a moral hazard, right? If you have a system where the rich people that have the credit cards get 2% back, right? The medium rich people get 1% back, and the poor people pay with cash, pay the 4% that everybody else gets on top of it, because there's no price discrimination. If the shop were to go and say the card payment cost me 5% more, I can charge you 5% more for using your credit card, and the cash payment cost me whatever 5-10 cents to handle, so I'm going to charge you for these 5-10 cents, as in a proper market would. Then you would go and say, I'm not going to pay the 5% more, only to get 2% cash back. No?
Yeah,
But the whole cashback system is predicated on this market failure of us charging the same price independent of the cost of the payment method.
Well, I wouldn't call it a market failure, but that's something you can debate. But I do agree that the problem with that model is not because the poor subsidize the well-to-do by 5%, because the charges are significantly less than 5%. They're, depending upon your volume, they can be as low as 1.5, 1.75. But the problem is that you only get those benefits if you pay when due, rather than let it roll over and pay interest on it. Because as soon as you let an outstanding balance roll over for interest, you're going to wind up paying 27% a year. And so the perverse income distribution implications really don't relate to the prices and fees charged, but it relates primarily to the fact that you're not paying any interest and you're collecting 2%. People in the bottom, at least in the United States, are paying outrageous interest rates when they carry balances going forward. I find that very problematic.
Yeah.
Especially when the people in this income bracket are using their credit cards to buy McDonald's.
Yeah?
So this is not like specific to yours because QR code-based payments are pretty popular, but like what assures consumers and everybody that they are not installing something malicious when they are like downloading, I mean, like scanning, for example, some merchant's QR codes, and instead of buying something with a Thaler, it's gonna install something in your.
But again, if you
Yeah.
scan with the Thaler wallet app, it's only going to accept Thaler QR codes that don't exactly give you a way to download anything to your phone.
Okay, so like,
So,
it's a way, like.
Scanning with the Thaler wallet app is inherently secure.
Okay,
There's
so it
nothing
needs to,
bad that could happen.
Kind of like the idea is
Oh.
that like people use
I
the
mean,
system, but
you may not know if you're scanning money being sent to you or an invoice,
Mm-hmm.
but before we pay the invoice or even accept money being sent to you, you get to confirm.
Okay.
And so it's nothing bad that can happen without your consent here.
Like if I go to a merchant, I scan their codes and I will see in my app like what it is for, and then when I
Yeah.
authorize it, there is a.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, of course, one could build a version of the app that automatically authorizes certain payments at certain merchants. If you're going to say, but I don't want to authorize. But by default, it always requires you to authorize. Next I wanted to show the backend. So here we have the view of the system from the merchant. So we can see, for example, orders that we've created, orders that have been paid, orders that where refunds were created, orders that have been settled, and orders that are new, as in people have not paid them. Now with the plus button, we can here interactively create a new one. Now usually, this is not how the merchant would do it, interactively create an order. They would have some kind of e-commerce calling the same APIs to make that happen. But I can give you a simple example here, 5, whatever, beer. Click on confirm, that's a simple case. And now I have a URL that one can navigate to, or a payment URI that I can see. And if I click on the URI, I can basically get the QR code payment for this 5 kudos, which I could now again pay, also with a mobile phone. And if I pay it, again here there is, oh, why did it fail?
Because the kudos, the amount, or
I don't know what I did. Let's see if it actually failed. No, it was paid. Just the wallet had a strange error message. So you can see now in the merchant backend that the order that we created was paid for the beer. And it's now here, the beer is in the paid column. And here I could then give a refund if I go and say, well, you paid for the beer, but I didn't have any anymore. We also have the ability to create templates. There's a bunch of them already in here. So with a template, I can basically go and say whatever. I have a template ID, say lunch, my keyboard. Fries, whatever. And I can set an amount. For example, it's 10. So it's always 10 kudos. And then I have created a template. And so now this is like something one can scan repeatedly. So if people scan the QR code, they can pay it, and then they can pay it again and pay it again. So it's one static QR code, as opposed to before what you saw is always one dynamic QR code per payment process. Here, if I'm a merchant that is offline, doesn't have a computer with me, I can just print this QR code, put it on my booth, and have people pay against that. Now, one problem here in this context is that somebody could show me on their mobile phone that they made a payment, but they didn't actually pay. They just show me some old screenshot. So these kind of QR code payments you also have with systems like PayPal or Alipay in other countries, where the merchant basically has to trust the consumer on their app that they did make the payment. So we improved on this by adding the possibility of having so-called OTP devices. Now, does anybody of you know what an OTP is? One-time password? Anybody? Nobody is that technical?
verification code.
Huh?
One-time password, like verification code.
Yes, it's one of these verification codes.
Yeah.
So what you can have is you can have an OTP generator that is a tiny $10 offline device that can generate a code that's typically used to log into websites as a second factor for authentication. And it works by the OTP device and the website sharing a secret. So here is what we call the device key. And with that, I can basically prove that the website and the OTP generator had the same secret. And it changes every 30 seconds. So you can't replay an old one to me because it's going to be new code every 30 seconds. And if you take a template here, let's go for our lunch template. You can associate an OTP generator with it. So for example, this one. And now if you pay against this QR code, which I should be able to do here, pay. Okay, this worked. Now you get to see these confirmation codes. And these confirmation codes will match exactly what the OTP generator generates at this time of purchase. And if you pay the same order 30 seconds later, they will be different. And I can have a cheap offline device to check that they match. And so we're actually building one of those at the university right now. It's a little hardware project for our students. It's already existing, but prototype. And so this means that a merchant can really print out these QR codes, have customers pay against it, but he can verify that the customers did pay and did pay now without needing a smartphone. So we basically improved the security of these QR code-based payments. Yeah, what else do we have? Well, if you have a merchant, usually the first thing you have to do is you have to add your bank account. So here, one way to do it would be, my IBAN is whatever DE. It has to have the valid checksum, so it's going to be a bit hard for me. You put in your name. That's how you would add a bank account. So that's where the money would go that you're receiving from it. OTP device I explained. Webhooks is basically you can say when something happens, like when a payment happens or a refund happens or a settlement happens, trigger some kind of API request so I can run some business logic because of it. So you can integrate this with existing things. We also have inventory management, so you can refer to things like things in your inventory, and based on this have a point of sale app that has inventory and categories, and you can basically quickly pick which products the user wants to have and build an order with these things from inventory. And the customer, by the way, is then also shown the little pretty pictures associated with the items in the inventory. Cute features. And last but not least, the KYC status. Here, basically, the merchant would be informed if they have to do additional KYC procedures. So for the demonstration, we didn't enable KYC, but in a production system, if you cross certain thresholds, we might need to know additional information about your business, and you would here be alerted to that there is a problem, and if you then click on it, you would be directed to a web page where you can upload business documentation about yourself to pass the KYC requirements.
What is the advantage of this compared to what someone had cited, a Yahoo wallet? I can use the Yahoo wallet if I'm in a store, I can use it online, whatever, and it encrypts whatever basis I'm charging, etc. Is there like a cheat sheet where you can tell people exactly what the benefits of using this system are, as opposed to a Yahoo wallet or an online stored credit card or whatever?
Again, it depends a bit on who you're talking to, right? So if you're talking to the consumer, I would first of all say you have usability advantages from the self-custody, like the browser integration, one click, very easy payments. Even with the Yahoo wallet, you don't get that kind of e-commerce experience. You have the privacy advantages as a customer, that you're not paying with anything to your identity, so you can keep your information under your control and not be transparent to a bunch of government agencies who knows what the next one is and what they're going to do with that data. So one of my favorite examples for Americans is always going, what if you need an abortion in another state? Go travel there, pay with your credit card, be arrested on the way back. So privacy can be a significant advantage for users. For the merchants, it's a free and open source solution, also for the users, which means we are completely transparent in what is happening. You can have competition in terms of who can service it. You can have competition between banks offering the solution, and it will be the same protocol. So that should drive prices down because you don't have the proprietary vendors extracting significant fees from rent-seeking behaviors. For states, again, it's a sovereignty aspect. You want your payment infrastructure under your domestic control. Here again, you're not making yourself dependent on some foreign software vendor. And this also enables us to establish actually a global standard that could be accepted across the world, because countries do not like to expose themselves to foreign technology and critical infrastructure, and here they wouldn't have to and could still have a global standard.
What does Apple know, for example, if it is like via installing the app? I mean, what information will they see about like somebody who has like installed wallet?
Apple basically knows everything about you. I mean, it's their phone, their operating system, their device, hardware ID, everything.
But like, I mean, like, so things that are like kind of my purchases, for example, is there a way for like getting the information from Apple? I mean, the reason I'm asking like that, I mean, is there a case for having like, you know, I mean, you said that you want to do a software, but I mean, would there be like a case for hardware that has stronger protection, because some things that is built on iOS, for example,
Right,
like
I mean,
whatever, like you are adding on top of it is
right, in principle
is,
at least,
not,
in principle
making
Apple
think
Yeah, no,
too much. Yeah.
Yeah, in principle, Apple could modify their operating system to see what the applications are doing, given that they're running with higher privileges on the phone, and could spy on what our users are doing. We think they would get into serious trouble with regulators if it did this, but in principle, that's possible. And that's why I said we are building a hardware-based wallet into collaboration with TU Dresden, which will also be open hardware. Again, both to improve security, as you would say, independence of the vendor, but also to improve privacy, because you wouldn't have to trust a specific vendor. And to lower costs, because it would be a dedicated platform only for payments, so it would be cheaper than a smartphone.
Are there survey out there that explore the view of consumers with respect to privacy?
Yes, there is, for example, the European Central Bank did a survey for the digital euro about what people wanted most from the digital euro, and the top ranked feature with 40% of respondents was privacy.
Because typically when you give up privacy, you get something for it with whoever the seller is. And if you asked me, do you think that what you get in return for giving up privacy is worth it based on benefits I've received? My answer would be yes.
Not referring to my own thing, but like, I mean, there's an argument in economics literature as well that if you leave the privacy choices to individuals because it has public features, nobody would adequately protect privacy compared to what is socially beneficial. And the idea is that you know, whether I do like extra steps, I mean, whether it's benefits or costs, like, I mean, it is same things, and like based on the fact that somebody is reasonably similar to me, like a lot of conclusions can be made about me anyway, right? So like the fact that I am protecting or not getting enough benefits for my own privacy, it's not preventing the public good feature of that. So everybody left to choose would choose too little privacy compared to what is socially optimal.
It certainly is also a question. You say, you know, I would be happy to give up that level of privacy, but if you look at the possibilities of price discrimination, where basically I go and say, I know something about you, therefore your airline price ticket's going up 50 euros, 500 euros, because I know you would pay that, because I know you don't discriminate on the price, because I have profiled you on this. Do you know what you're giving up when you give up your privacy and how much it has cost you? Because it's not going to be transparent to you. I'm not going to tell you what happened. Well, so you give your driving history to your car insurance company. Well, if you are a really good driver, yes, maybe. But the people who are not so good drivers that then get higher premiums didn't know that this was the cost of their privacy. So again, the socially optimal thing is not necessarily obvious, and humans are not necessarily very rational when it comes to economic decision making.
No, I mean, the problem is it's the dog who didn't bark.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know what you're getting, sometimes you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And the part that you don't know, you don't have the information to quantify it.
Exactly. So,
But is that example of that you cited, airfare, Is that something that in fact is a real example?
That has been done, yes.
Which airlines?
Probably all of them.
Probably all of them.
No, they have.
It's probably not even the airline, it's probably some sites reselling airline tickets.
Because they have very sophisticated fare maximization models running. I mean, like, I don't know what you're using now, but even 25 years ago, United Airlines was using Deep Blue, the computer that beat Boris Spassky. They had 25 of them linked in series, cranking their fare generation. And obviously, today it's going to be much more powerful. But it's in my immediate reaction was I just always assumed that fare generation was linked to supply and demand.
I would say it's also, but
Yeah, I mean, available seating, this forecast, it's like, it's airline pricing is a tough business for the airline because it's capacity, which they don't want to give up a seat that they can't make money at. They don't want to give up a seat without getting some revenue for it. On the other hand, they don't want to take off with an empty seat because that's lost potential revenue that can never be recovered.
look, I wasn't saying it wasn't a tough business. I'm just saying from you as a consumer's point of view, price discrimination can affect you and you wouldn't even know.
I would agree with that.
So.
Absolutely right. But then again,
And again, here in this system, at least you would have the choice. You could say, I'm willing to give up my privacy, whereas in other systems, you inherently don't have it.
Yeah. So, and one of the clear advantages is you have the option, you can give up your privacy or not.
Yeah, that's one of the key things I should mention is, I mean, if you buy something in here, you buy it privately, but on your phone, you have a proof of purchase. So you could prove to your tax authority that this was a business expense. You could prove to your spouse what you did, or you can delete it and then the evidence is gone.
Yeah, except
so-
that you need anything that's long-lived, you need warranty support. If
Right,
it's
but again,
failed-
you could choose to keep that on your phone as long as the warranty is, proof of purchase is required. But if you decide, okay, I'd rather not demonstrate to people getting hold of my phone that I made this purchase, you could say, okay, I'm going to delete the proof of purchase. Now I can't get the warranty proof anymore, but at least I've deleted all trace of me making that purchase.
Sure.
I also want to briefly show a little bit more on the deep technical side what actually happens. So when we create an order here, let's do another order for 5 kudos, test order. We can see with the inspector I launched here, what are the requests that are being made to the merchant backend. And the first one here, the GET request is just checking that the backend is there, wasn't actually what we did. The main one here is the POST request. That's the one that's creating the order. Can you read any of this?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Or it's better, but
so this is, okay, maybe I should keep it in the non-raw format. So this is the information that was sent from the front end to the back end. This is actually it's fully expanded. Okay, good. So it just says I want to create as a summary test. The wire transfer should happen by this date. The refunds can happen until this date. The customer has until this timestamp to make the payment. These are, by the way, optional. This is a list of products, which in this case we didn't have. And then the amount to be paid is 5 kudos. So the mandatory thing is actually the amount and the summary. So you just send that to the server. And then the response, and I should mention it, in your header, we have a couple of things that the browser always sends. And then the request we send additionally an authorization token here. That's a bearer token, secret token, and you see some garbage looking string here. That's the key that authorizes us as we logged in, we are authorized to create an order. So it's a simple authorization string here. And then the response we get back is basically this order ID. That's the main thing we care about. That's what we would put into the QR code that we encode together with Thaler and the backend name, what's the server domain name, to show to the wallet. Or we would go to the HTTPS backend immortality orders, and then here the order ID, which is this GET request you're making here, to check the status of the order. Right, so these two requests, post creates the order, and then we can do a GET, where we take the server address and the order ID and check the order status. So that's all you have to do for a simple e-commerce integration. Create order, check status. You can also specify a timeout here and say, I want to not immediately get told what the status is, but I want to wait for it to change to paid. It's called long polling. So you can also be immediately notified when the status changes to paid. And then there are, of course, additional endpoints for things like giving a refund to the customer and other things. But the core integration is very, very trivial. You just have your login into your backend and just say, I want to create an order. These are the order details. So the important thing is for the integrator, they don't need to understand any of the cryptography. The backend does the cryptography, does the payment processing, does the handling. You just need to specify, what am I selling for what price? And then you get an order ID, and with that you can check, well, was it paid or not?
So it's also like you said, like a one cost of privacy potentially is the fact that you can't easily have refunds when something goes wrong. Is it somehow possible, or it is a cost that is it is a same thing with a physical cash. You lose it, but in this system, is it necessary that if you have accidentally made the wrong transactions and you can't undo it, or?
Okay, so I want to show you, maybe in this case, we have a video here of our vending machine. So this is Professor Benoit, and the network is really bad. Or do I have to click on? Come on, play. Okay, so here we have our Thaler-enabled vending machine. And he can pay with his phone by scanning the QR code. And then the product is dispensed. And the funny story, I'm just going to pause, it's too much noise here. The funny story is the vending machine actually has a laser barrier at the bottom. So it can detect when the product didn't come out. And when we first publicly demonstrated this vending machine at a hacker conference, what happened is somebody was going there and the product literally fell from an upper drawer into a lower drawer and didn't get dispensed. And he goes, haha, demo failure. And I'm telling him, look at your phone. He looks at his phone and says, I got my money back. How did you do that?
That is really great.
And so what happens here is the following. So the machine actually, when we bought it, had this built-in laser barrier that detects that the product could not be dispensed. Great. Now, how do you get the person the money back? And that was, the students tells me this, hey, we have this laser barrier. It can detect that we couldn't dispense it. What can we do about it?
It was one of the rules in the code we saw in the backend, right? Like, if not after a certain time.
Yeah, that's so we had the refund possibility already. And refund works very simple. Usually when you spend a digital coin, we just mark it in our database as spent. And then you cannot spend it again. But if I want to give you a refund, well, the easiest way is to give you to mark that coin as no longer as spent.
Or a new one.
And give you I first mark it as no longer as spent, and then actually what we do is we issue you a new one so the next transaction doesn't get linkable to it. But we can basically put the money back on the coin as the operator, as long as we haven't settled yet. And of course, this one doesn't get settled. So we can put the money back on the coin. And now the problem is, how do we tell the wallet? And so the first one we had is, we have a QR code, the wallet scans it and is told, hey, your money is back. Get fresh coins for it, the money, it has value again. And what we added is what we called an auto refund feature, where the snack machine actually tells the wallet, hey, for the next 30 seconds, just check if you got a refund. Maybe you get one. And so what the wallets do is they automatically go, okay, I just paid. I'm going to check, hey, do I get my money back? For 30 seconds. And during that time, the product either falls out or doesn't. And if it doesn't fall out, the snack machine goes to the payment backend and says, hey, refund. The payment backend goes to the exchange, says, okay, give the customer their money back. signed by the merchant. They can voluntarily relinquish the final transaction. The exchange puts the money back. The wallet is notified, hey, I got my money back. And since the ownership of the original token is tied to your wallet, we don't need to know who you are. We just put the money back on the token. You get a fresh token for your next transaction by then really invalidating the old token. And we can give refunds to people that are anonymous customers.
You do know if that machine were installed in a dorm, the students would start pulling it over, shaking it.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens after the money's been restored to the wallet if the students go to work shaking the misdirected candy bar back down when they could...
The real deployments have actually a hook that can go to the ceiling and you can secure it on both ends, so you can't really shake it very well. We didn't have these kind of problems. Actually, in fact, what I had is what a professor tell me, it didn't come out. I shook the machine and then I got my money back. So I had a professor do the shaking in our case and then confess to it. So yes, that has happened. But we've not had serious problem. It's a pretty good machine. But we can deal with that situation as well with refunds.
But only during a limited period? Or so that it is like, because you want to that it is like kind of 30 seconds, I'm sure it can be set longer, but it's not like somebody doesn't make purchases and discovers that for mysterious reasons, like 1,000 kudos have disappeared from their account. And
yeah, so we have
because a bank can deal with it, right?
Yeah, we have in these contracts that I briefly showed, we have several timestamps. And the first one, the nearest one, is the auto refund deadline. This is how long your wallet will check for refunds. And you want to keep that short because the wallets will keep hammering your server. Did I get a refund? Every 30 seconds until it's over. And you don't want to have 100,000 customers hitting your servers and DDoSing yourself. But of course, if you are a snack machine, after selling for 30 seconds, it's okay to get 1 or 2 requests there. That's not a problem. So that's the auto refund deadline.
Yeah, that should definitely be listed as one of the benefits. Because anyone who's had experience in dorms or with these vending machines know that when they put their money in and what you're buying doesn't come out,
the money is usually lost.
It's lost because they have, if there's a problem, call X. You call X, nobody picks up. There's no answer. You're totally at the mercy of a system that's totally non-responsive.
Yeah. So anyway, the second deadline is what we call the regular refund deadline, which is where you can scan a QR code to be told about a refund. So if you're seeing a merchant in person or the e-commerce site has still a way to get back to you because you left an email address, they can send you that and then you can get a refund. And that refund deadline on the technical side basically is only there to tell the exchange you must not wire the funds to the merchant account before that. Because again, we consider all transactions final, especially when we do outgoing wire transfers. And so we can't give the customer the money back and say, oh, but we already gave it to the merchant as well. Right, so the second refund deadline basically blocks us from doing a wire transfer. So we will not settle. Then we have a third deadline, which is the payment deadline, which is how long does the customer have to pay? Does the customer can choose to pay today, tomorrow, next week, 5 years from now, still same business deal? Right, you want a deadline on that. And then the next one is the payment deadline, which is how long is the merchant willing to wait for the money to be in his bank account at most. Again, you might want to, for cash flow reasons, have your money same days, same months, whatever. And the payment deadline has to be after the refund deadline. Because, if you can't say you must pay me, but I will do refunds later. So those are the different deadlines that we have in the merchant backend that the merchant can configure. But we don't, as the payment service operator, prescribe to you what these deadlines have to be. You have to set them in an appropriate way for your business. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, but yeah, I mean, in some circumstances it is like gone and not recoverable. That's a bit of like still there, right?
If it was wired to the merchant, then we say we can no longer undo it because we never take money out of merchants' bank accounts.
As a bank probably can't undo it as well because They have sent money.
If they did it, it would be a
to
costly
someone,
operation.
that's it, right?
If they did it, it would be a costly operation, and we don't want like costly operations. So if the money has already been settled and the merchant has been paid out, well, they have the money. If they still want to do a refund to the customer, well, they can do a wire transfer. They can again do a Thaler peer-to-peer payment or something else, but then it's no longer supported by our logic inherently.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, it's not necessarily a problem, which is just telling that
No,
you
no.
should not hold like big balances there, right? So that, yeah, it's kind of taking money out of the cash machine and that can be lost after some time with a little bit more assurances and.
Yeah. Good. You have a coffee machine video too. If you want to see the Thaler coffee machine. So, see, we are doing actual hardware. Very important. See, this is when you at the university want to have fun. Both the coffee machine and the snack machine use the same 9-bit protocol from Coca-Cola machines from the 1960s. So this is actually fun hardware to build for the electronics people.
And they accept kudos only?
No, well, this is the demonstration. The snack machine accepts Swiss francs only. So it's real snacks in there.
Who is your primary competitor?
It's a bit difficult to say. I mean, the digital euro? I don't know. For CBDCs, I guess, maybe digital euro, maybe Brazilians or, PIX or what's the Indian one? UPI. Those would certainly be considered competitors. If you talk about online payments, MasterCard, Visa card, PayPal would be competitors, clearly. Again, none of them do anything with free and open source software. None of them offer the privacy. None of them are self-custody solutions. So they are fundamentally different. So in exactly this product category, we don't know of anybody else doing this.
When you said euro digital currency, is there anything that would prevent digital euro from being the means for payment on your system?
No, I would usually refer to you here to, we had a nice paper with the Swiss National Bank. So this, how to issue a central bank digital currency, was actually a paper where Thomas Moser and I described how the Thaler system could be used for a retail CBDC. There's a similar paper from the Austrian Central Bank that compared ledger-based systems, traditional account-based systems, and our system for the digital euro. And if you read it, it's very clear they would recommend our style of system. So there are several central banks that have already basically said our solution would be the best for a central bank digital currency. But
I would think that your system should have a major advantage for any digital currency that gets released, simply because releasing this digital currency without an infrastructure for using it is like not releasing it.
yeah, I mean, as we're trying to still build integrations. There's lots of businesses you want to integrate with. One of the most recent one was with SAP. We're building integration with other ERP systems also right now. We have point of sales app, the QR codes for the simple merchants. But the more complex your business is, the more complex the requirements are. We have e-commerce integrations into the 4 most popular e-commerce systems that are free and open source software. But I always say there's 100 million shops to work with on this planet. So it's going to take a little bit of time.
No, it's very interesting.
Thank you.
And you definitely have a first mover advantage, I would say.
So for those of you who wanted to see the OIM mode, this is the version of the iOS app with OIM enabled. So, okay, this is going to be difficult for the camera, I guess. Huh? So we can here send money in the peer-to-peer way. This would be the normal way where you have to enter the amount. And if I turn it, no, other way, turn it, then it switches into OIM mode. So the first thing that is very nice, it's normal, OIM. So very easy to go. And you see now, basically I have my balance here expressed in banknotes and coins on the phone. And I can tap on these coins to put them on the table, like I would to count money in these cultures. And if now this is going to be a bit hard to see, if I pick lots of a small coin, eventually comes an animation that converts this coin into the larger denomination. So it groups them, flips them, and converts them to the larger one. So I can see that this number of small ones is equivalent to the larger amount. Our developer calls this dancing money. I can also undo things. So if I tap on one, it goes back into my balance. And then when I select to send the money, I get to pick a purpose. So it's a bit small here. Again, you can kind of see there's lots of symbols I can choose from for paying for health, paying for food, paying for school, and so on. So you can basically symbolically choose the reason for payment. Like here I chose for health. Then when you send it, it generates a QR code and also goes into NFC mode, so you can basically hold it near another wallet or scan the QR code to actually do the payment. So that's the very quick OIM demo here.
I can see this in those Latin American autonomous societies where there is also a huge level of
yeah, and again, if you have some autonomous society, they can also use our entire system to set up a regional currency where they can create their own central bank and their own accounting system for their community. Okay, that was my plan.